Okay, so in this lecture we're going to be doing a run cycle. I'm going to go ahead and kind of look at a little bit of reference, and I know that we've talked about not looking at other animators' work, but at some point, and this is Scooty run cycle, at some point we have to make a demo reel portfolio, something that we're going to show to a studio, and so we're going to copy or emulate their style. So you want to pick probably 3 of them at some point, and you want to have as many examples of that type of work that they do as possible. So I really like this stylized run. One of the things that scares me a little bit about animation is that, and it doesn't really scare me, it just disappoints me. There's so much motion capture going on in games that it's very frustrating, and I don't think I really truly like it nearly as much as the animation that I saw, you know, even 10 years ago, where much of it was hand keyed. But I really like stylized stuff, a lot of Blizzard stuff, Riot stuff. That's hand keyed. I really appreciate that. So I want to do a stylized run, and if you're not really interested in doing a stylized run, you're more than welcome to look at any other reference you want to. But we've got a pretty cool run here, and you can see that much of what we did in the walk cycle is going to happen here. The only exception is, notice that the feet come completely off the ground, right? And that's a common thing for a run. So you've got a few frames here where the feet are both off the ground. Now everything else is pretty much the same, but notice that they're the same up and down, and notice that, and this is stylized, but there isn't a ton, even in the stylized animation, of twist in the top of the torso here. It's kind of straight up and down, as well, not necessarily straight up and down. He's definitely at an angle, but I mean, it's not doing a lot of this back and forth like we were doing with the walk cycle. So you can kind of see here that his arms are going back, but there isn't a tremendous amount. Up and down, the head's actually moving up and down quite a bit as well. And then I've got Olympic runners typed in here for YouTube. And if this stylized animation really is not your thing, then I understand you don't necessarily have to do it. But a couple of other things. Let's look at the legs. Notice that the legs stay sort of bent somewhat, and look how high up that back leg comes and kicks back. So there will be an extension at some point of the leg, but it comes down. You kind of see it there. Touches the ground, boom, not really a footfall. Just kind of skates through that pressing up there, that push up. So you're just kind of touching the ground for a few frames with it. Okay, so those are some major differences. If we look at Olympic runners, these are like the fastest runners on the planet, right? They're like the best runners. Let's see if we can't find like somebody amazing here running. And this is a pretty good example of it. You just sort of, without watching them run, we'll kind of click on this one, see what this one looks like. Sometimes it's hard to find like a really good example. Just a bunch of pictures. Here we go. Okay, so notice how straight up and down these Olympic runners are. Like, this guy is just straight up and down. He's not really even leaning forward. And another thing that you'll notice is about these runners, watch their legs. There tends not to be, and this is a really bad resolution, but we can still see how they're not actually extending all the way out. There's always a bend in the knee. Look how far up they kick in the back, like the back. Check this guy out here in the back. His leg almost hits his butt, right? So we've got, and that's a bad resolution, but you can really sort of see, and kind of check this one out, that there really stays this bend in the leg, and that bend in the leg sort of translates to that back portion of the run where the back leg, and for some reason they're showing these really high resolution examples. Here we go. And when you go to hit play, it gives you this really crappy image, but look how high up their leg kicks in the back. See that? And how it stays sort of bent in the front. Watch these guys. So what you'll notice about these Olympic runners is they stay bent in the initial takeoff, and then once they take off, they kind of stand up. I kind of quickly got past it, but that bend in the knee. So if you want to do you know, some sort of photo reference, my suggestion is maybe try one of these guys. But I would say that I'm going to try and do a stylized run with a tiger, and I would say that I would want to have, if it was me and I was younger and I was trying to get another job, I would want to have a lot of stylized hand-keyed stuff in my demo reel. So it might not be a bad idea to sort of perfect it, and then also to have some realistic stuff. All right, let's jump in and get started. So we're going to Maya 2018. Let's wait for it to open up. Okay, so what we're looking for here is assignment 4. Let it wake up. Because I'm running Camtasia at the same time, I think it's causing me some grief there. Okay, so file, let's set our project. We're going to set it to assignment 4. So NM105, assignment 4, run_2, Maya files, NM105. Set it, then file, open scene. Now let's go back to, I've got Tiger Run in here, but let's not use that. Let's use Anim Tiger, and by the time you probably take a look at this video, I'll probably have removed Tiger Run, kind of set it up for you. I want to start from the beginning. So let's start from the same file we started from for the walk. So we'll just open that file up, and same guy we were using for the walk. All right, so let's do a kind of a stylized run with this guy. And after this, I think what we'll try and do is maybe we'll do a jump after this, and we'll either use the Stuart character or go back to the Bat Snipe. But let's get this done. So we had 31 frames for a walk cycle. I would say we can cut about 10 frames off for a run cycle. So let's try 21 frames. That way we can break it down evenly, so we'll have a fully extended gape here. So I'm going to pull this leg out, and since we've already sort of used this rig and we're comfortable with it, I'm not going to really explain everything I'm doing. I'm just going to start doing it. That way we get done quick and you don't get bored. Plus I'll probably be doing some demo stuff in class and walking around making sure. So one of the things we want to do though is we want to pull that leg up really high on this. So we kind of pull it up here like that, and then we'll push that back. We'll see what that feels like. And then here, same sort of thing, and I want to extend it out about like that. I'm going to grab both of those, and then I would say for the height, maybe we go just a little bit higher. So let's go up a little higher. Oh, also too, forgot. Let's grab the hands. So I'm going to grab that circle around the hands. I'm going to turn on IK, so IKFK, right mouse or middle mouse, drag to the right. Same thing for the other controller, middle mouse, drag to the right. Gives us back our forward kinematics. So I'm going to grab our cog or main control, shift, grab our feet, and then just give us a little bit of up. So a little bit up in the air. Okay, and then again the waist. So obviously he's going to be rotating this way. So let's just do a -8 here. And then also too, we know that he'll just be pushing off, so it'll be rotated that way. I'm going to take out rotate X, so no value there for rotate X. I'll do -7 and -7 just to kind of keep things nice and even. Take a look at that and see what that looks like. That looks really pretty good. Maybe overdone a bit, but that looks pretty good. All right, so now what we want to do is lean this guy forward. So I'm going to grab that cog again and really sort of lean him forward. This is going to be stylized. So he's going to be like that for sure. And then I'm going to grab each one of these controls for the back and the control for the chest and lean him forward like that. All right. Now, since I've already got control of that, I'm just going to, well, I think that'll be good for that first key. Let's raise his head up so his head's looking forward so he's not looking down. And then let's take and rotate this guy back. So before I do the forearm and do a complete pose, I'm just going to do this real quick because I'm not sure how much across the body I want to come. I just want to see what it looks like. He's got such big arms. I'm just going to sort of do that. So I'm going to kind of keep it like that at first. Now, let's go ahead and make our fist again. So I'm going to grab our round control for the hand. I'm going to left mouse click and drag around the 2 or the 3 fingers, and middle mouse drag his hands shut. So it looks like -58. Thumb control, same thing. Just so it comes up over it. There we go. Same thing over here. Close that fist, and then thumb. Just so it comes up over it. Okay. So now, I do want it to be, though, straight up. That looks okay back there. All right. I'm going to pull that in. Head maybe up just a bit. Let's go ahead and try using the tail controls this time in this one. So I'm going to grab this, and we've got a tail bend. I'm going to bend it up and down. So we'll just kind of do that back and forth. We'll try that and see what that feels like. So I just bent it up. Let's just say 6, and then we'll do -6. And actually, when it's going up, it should go down. So let's do a -6 and bend it like that down for that portion. And then for the rotation here, I'm just gonna, we'll just try just the top here. And well, let's go ahead and use all of the controls for the back and the torso. So I grabbed every single one of those. We'll rotate just slightly, not much. And that's a little too much, I think. So just slightly. And then we know we have to counter the head. And the arms are bugging me so much I have to pose it. Okay. And I think for the back on the arms, I'm going to try and keep it a little bent. Wonder what it would look like if we rolled his chest out like that. That would be kind of cool. And then he's looking down. A little bit sort of tougher looking rather than kind of bent over. I feel like he'd kind of be proud like that. Okay, I think that works. So we have his stomach kind of rolled over and his chest kind of out. I don't know. I'm just looking at his pose now. I'm going to grab each one of those and maybe curl it back. So he's kind of like this. And then go down to that main cog and bend him down like so. So he's kind of got a, almost like a proud looking run. Chest out. See what that feels like. I'm going to pull this back leg out just a bit. Rotate this down just a bit. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so let's see what we think about this. Counter the head. So the head's got to sort of straighten out here. Have it look at us. And let's do our big eyes again. I like those big eyes, large eyes, middle mouse, drag them out, lower brow. So just kind of lower brow, he's concentrating. And now on the ears this time, I think, because there's going to be a little bit more up and down, I'm just going to rotate them down just a titch, like so. And then also I'm going to grab the head, and there has to be something, I remember something for his beard. So let's see. Beard curl. Okay. So he's kind of going up. So let's curl it down just a little bit. Not a ton, but curls all the way up like that. So let's curl it down just a titch. Okay. All right. That looks cool. It's got a slight bit of rotation, not much, going in the opposite direction. Maybe a little bit more of that. Looking pretty cool. Frame 1, I'm going to hit S. I'm just going to drag to 21, hit S. We go to 10 and counter all this. So I'm just going to sort of do it this time. I'm going to try not to enter values. I'm just going to pose the guy. So just sort of not worrying so much now about like numeric values. So I'm kind of rotating it that way just a titch. I'm going to leave him sort of up, counter the head. I don't want it perfect. If it's really off, and we'll see it real quick when we hit play, because it'll do these weird hiccup things, or you'll see like too much of a hitch in one direction. But I want to start making things a little bit more asymmetrical now that you guys are sort of comfortable with, animating with these rigs. I want to, mess around a little bit more and have more fun. At first, it's hard, and you'll have like all these little hitches and hiccups in your animations if you're not careful. But I feel like at this point, you guys are pretty good. Done several animations. I'm going to raise the hand up on this one now. Here. Got his chest out. That was looking pretty good. Now here, since we have those values of 7, I'm just going to type in 7 and flip it around. That was too easy not to. Okay. Now I'm going to pull this one through and down. Kind of break the rig there a little bit. Rotate over. About the same amount, something like that. Pull it through. Okay, grab this one, same sort of thing, pull it all the way through, sort of breaking the rig. He's got his leg up high. Okay, so when he's facing us, he's looking off. We got to do the head really quick. And those ears and that beard we want to keep all the same. So I'm going to have this come across the body a little bit more. Okay. Looking pretty strong. And we want that tail down. Okay. Grab that, and at frame 10, hit us. Okay, so let's hit play. Boom, looks pretty good. So let's get our breakdown. Let's get where he makes contact with the ground. So I'm just going to take it and have him hit the ground pretty quick. So he's probably going to hit it at, I would say, if we look at where the leg just sort of lands, and we try not to move the legs back and forth. Like when I grab this leg, I don't want to move it back and forth in the Z. I want that to naturally occur from here to there. Because that's kind of our timing, right? So it's basically this foot that's going to hit the ground. So I'm going to go and look and see, where does that feel natural? It feels natural about right there, frame 3. So I'm going to take this and extend it down. So I'm going to kind of pull it down about like that at frame 3. I'm going to grab this foot, and I'm also going to grab the cog, so that main control. And then now I'm just going to pull him down. I'm going to pull him down until I see him touch his sort of paw control. So if you want to turn your grid on too, so say show and then grid, you can see this foot going into the grid if it's not on. There we go. Okay, so that's frame 3. I'm going to hit S. So now he comes down, and then boom. So let's get the other side doing the same thing. So I want to go, I want to hit play and just see. I feel like maybe, we'll say that's okay. We'll say he hits. He's heavy, right? So he's going to come down quick. We may adjust that. But here at frame 4, I want to extend the foot so it's flat. So I'll key that there. So, and then again, I want to keep the foot on the ground for about 3 to 4 frames. So I'm gonna key through for this foot. I just want to see what it's going to feel like. So up here, I'm going to have the heel like that. I'm going to raise this up just a titch. Middle mouse drag to 21. Let's go to 10 and do the same thing here. Let's raise this up just a titch. Okay. So boom, it hits. And then let's have it start to peel off here. So pull it down. And then we'll come over here to toe curl, see if that does it. And it does. So we'll toe curl that thing up. And I'm just doing one foot. I'm just going through and just seeing if this one foot's going to work. Okay, and then here I want to take and have it touch. I'm going to pull it down. I'm not going to pull it forward or backwards. So I'm not touching the Z. Just I'm going to actually pull it to here and then curl the toe. And then grab this and rotate over like that. Shift pick that as well. So we have to pick both of those controls. So let's see if that looks okay. And then at frame 8, we take that toe curl and we flip it. So it's like it's kind of flipping in the opposite direction. And then I want to take that foot and start kind of doing, I'll key it probably at frame 10. I'm going to key it out like that. So we went through and we keyed that entire foot, but I just want to see what it's going to feel like. Okay, so let's hit play and just see if that works for us. Boom, back up, back up. Okay, so our up and down might be a little bit much. So on our cog here, it might be a little bit much. So we want that high part right here. And it definitely is. Seems to work out perfectly for us. But I feel like the down part might be a little too quick. So I'm going to take basically, I've got the cog selected. Go to 3, middle mouse drag to 4, copy it, and then go back and cut 3. So what we get is more of a little bit less. I feel like that's a little better. Boom, boom. Okay. All right, and then we may have a little bit of adjustment on the height, but we'll worry about that later. So let's get the other foot. I think it looks pretty good. I like the way that feels. So that is going to be where we're going to be for frame. So if we're at frame 4 here, we're going to be at basically frame 14 here. I'm going to copy it. I'm just going to literally copy it. We don't have any sort of rotation in this direction. It's just only in this direction. So I'm going to actually use this control just as it is and go to frame 14. So go to frame 4, middle mouse drag to 14 and hit S. And that other foot at that point will be coming down and make contact. So over here at frame 4, we have it literally hitting. So frame 4, it hits flat. So at frame 3, it's like that. So what we want is it for 13, we want that foot. And I'm just going to move it down so it touches. And I want to rotate it up just a titch here. So he kicks it out and then boom. 14, we want it flat and down. So I'm just rotating it down. Now, same thing here, down all the way. $15. And I want to say that at 15, we still had it on the ground. So I'm looking on the other side now. So it wasn't until 17 that we bent it. So we can see here, I kind of goofed it right there. So when I keyed it, it comes down to the side. So I had keyed this extra control right here. And I need to make sure that I key it back here. You can see how it's messing that up. So kind of have to counter with this model. It's the first time we've used that. Same thing here, we want it up. And then at 7, that's where we want it to do that little twisty thing. but I want to do it that way. Key it again, and then boom. Okay, so boom, peels it up and off. All right, so hits the ground. Boom, carries the weight. Here, same thing. I'm going to pull it down, have it carry the weight. So notice I'm not pushing it off in the Z, I'm just pushing it down. Okay, so here's where we'll bend it. So I'm going to pull it down a little bit, and I'm going to bend that toe. Bend that toe up. So I have this selected. I hit S. I'm not using that weird little thing just yet. Now here, I'm actually going to do the same thing. I'm going to pull it down just a titch. Toe curl. And then 19, I'm going to curl that toe in the opposite direction. And then let it go through. So, peels off. There we go. All right. So it looks like he's kind of jogging. He's kind of a big guy. Okay, so we got some funkiness on the knees here. See how the knees are so watch the knee here. Does that weird thing there. So what we want to do is we want to pick our controls and put them in a place where it's not going to be awkward. So I'm going to take this pole vector, and that's this guy and this guy. So I'm just going to kind of back up here. So it's these arrows pointing towards the knee. I want to kind of place them out here and drag them out. So kind of place them so the knee goes out just a bit. Same thing here, kind of drag them out. Now these are already keyed, so I'm going to grab all the keys on them right now, and I'm just going to double click right here. Oh, sorry about that. I moved the time slider, so when I did, it just popped them back. But let's take the keys off these things. So I've got both of those selected. I'm going to go to frame 5. You can pick them both by just selecting, double clicking in the time slider on frame 5 and just say cut. This way we can just kind of place them out here and there's no keys on them. We don't have to worry about them. So I'm just going to try and place them kind of right about here outside those like 2 paw marks here. Let's just see what the knees do there. Much better, and we don't have to key them. So they look really good. So if you don't have to key those guys, we don't want to. Okay. So that looks pretty good. He's kind of jogging along. We could have done it a little bit faster, I think. But yeah. It's not looking too bad. So boom, he's up in the air and he's down. And maybe he floats a little bit. Maybe he doesn't come down so quick. Maybe we have him hang up in the air a little bit. So he goes up here, and maybe we'll give him a little bit more time up in the air. So let's look at that first before we do anything else, because that's going to matter. I'm going to go and I'm going to save my file now. So I'm going to do Tiger Run. We'll just call it Tiger Run. You want to save it to your folder. Alright, so grab that main cog control here, Window Animation Editor's Graph Editor, and then translate Y. So to get that to actually hang a little bit longer, we're going to try weighting the tangents. And I don't know if it's going to let us just do, I think you have to weight the entire curve. So it says free tangent weights. I'm going to grab the curve, and I'm just going to see if it lets me do that. So let's see, curves. And then weighted tangents. So what I did there was I went curves and then I said weighted tangents. Now what this is going to do for us is that our tangent handles are going to be weighted. And what we want to have happen is we actually want to take and have the bottom keys here. So I'm going to grab these bottom keys and I'm going to break the tangent handles with this little guy here. White on one side, orange on the other. I'm going to grab that tangent handle. I'm just going to middle mouse click, drag it up so that the curve goes straight in. Same thing here. So this is the down part of that. Now, on all these keys across here at the top, I want him to kind of hang in the air. So I'm just going to go and grab Shift and stretch that out so he kind of hangs in the air like that. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to grab Shift and he's just going to hang in the air. Same thing here. I'm going to grab Shift and middle mouse. I'm just using the move tool, middle mouse dragging and scaling that out. Now, he's going to hang a little bit in the air. So he kind of hangs a little bit and then bounces down. Okay, pretty cool. All right, so the way I did that again was I grabbed the curve, I went to curves, weighted tangents. It allowed me to scale out the keys. So basically what I did is I broke them so that I could then take and make it go into this curve. This curve would go into this key and really quick and then out of it really slow. You can see it coming out at the same value. At the top, I grab the tangent handle, so I grab the key, I shift grab the tangent handle using the move tool, so you have to make sure that's engaged. Hold shift and drag to your left or right, and it'll just make him hang in the air. So if you want to practice maybe making him hang a little bit more, I was going to make him hang just a little bit more, so he's going to really sort of pop up and down. I like it though. It feels like he's kind of heavy and he's looks good. All right, so now a couple things. Let's do our tail. So we've got the timing on the body, I think. I like that up and down. Feels like he's kind of like a football player running out to the huddle. He kind of looks like it too. You might also too, like if you get the hang of this and you like the rig and you want to keep using it, maybe do a really quick one. But let's look at the knees because we've adjusted the body going up and down, so we have to make sure that the legs aren't like really messed up. Now you can see there's a really big stretch there and it looks really cool. But there's could be kind of a pop, yeah. So here, here's a pop right there. See how he's stretched completely out? I'm just going to raise this leg just a tiny little bit. There we go. So we just don't get that pop. And here, and through this area here on our crossovers, we've got a, I forgot to actually take and on the other side, I forgot to arc the leg. So as this comes through here, see how close it's coming through to the body? So on this side, we need to make sure it's arced. So right through here, it's looking pretty good. But as it comes through the body here, I would say frame 6, it definitely needs to be down here, really close to the ground. And then now it'll arc up. So now that one's arced. So that one's nice and arced. Now let's go on the other side. Pretty big mistake I made there. So through here, we went all the way to frame 6. So let's go to frame 16 and pull it all the way down so it's really close to the, and then hit S. Okay, so let's play that. Okay, perfect. Still looks like it's peeling up, looks good. All right, so now let's loosen up the upper body. So let's take this upper body and do just a little bit of twist back and forth just to kind of get it loose. And then also too, since he's kind of going up, I'm going to take these guys, and these guys can really have a big effect. See that? So on really big, heavy, muscled up guys, you see that kind of a shake to them. So what I'm going to do is here it's just at a normal height. So as we go and we hit the ground here, so we hit the ground at 4 and then start going back up at 5. I'm going to actually on 5, I'm going to take and pull him down just a little bit and then hit S. I'm going to go to frame 15 and just hit S, and then they'll kind of pop back up. So they go down. So, okay. So here as he's going up, or pardon me, as he's going down, we want him to go up, pardon me, sorry about that. So we'll have him go up just a little bit, go to frame 15 and hit S. Okay. So they're going up, and then here, I'm going to have them go down at frame 7, just a little bit. And then here at 17, I'm going to have them go down. And we'll clean this up with the graph editor so that they do a little bit of a shake. And then the head too. So we definitely want the head. So as he goes down at 4, we'll say 5 is where we take the head down just a little bit. And then we will curl the beard up. We'll curl the ears up as well. But curl we'll do up. And then ears will go back. Okay, so let's grab everything. Control deselect and key it there. Okay, so let's see what that feels like. Look at the ears. Okay. I say they can actually probably be a little bit more, but we'll do that in the graph editor. So on this side then, we've got it kind of up here, or rather down here, so the ears are down and the beard is down. And then here at frame 5, they're up. So I'm going to make them go up just a little bit more. I want to actually feel them go up. So I'll key those there. And then I'm also going to key them at 15. And then here, the head is up. Let's make sure at 15 it does that same sort of thing. Actually got it going down, so we want to have it come up. Middle mouse drag to 15 and hit S. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So let's play that. Okay. He's got a pretty big neck, so he's not going to be as loose as that other guy. But let's do a little bit of back and forth now. So at frame 5, I have these values here. I'm going to do a negative 22. I'm going to do a negative 0.1 and 0.6 or 0.5. So I'm going to grab all those. So shift grab all those, right click and key selected. So at 5, that's what we have for that. Now I'm going to go to frame 15. So let's go to 5. Middle mouse drag to 15 because we don't really have any back and forth in this direction on it. So I'm going to hit S. So whatever we did on that side is what we want on this side. Okay. So what I'd like to do is as he goes down, I'd actually like to take this and have him go up. Middle mouse to 15 and go up. So all I did was just click it. So he's got kind of a bounce to him now. So he'll go, and then here as he goes up, kind of have him do this. And then I'm just going to middle mouse drag to 17. So he's rotating down. So he's got a little bit of muscle look to him. Show NURBS curve so you can kind of see what I'm doing. A little bit stiffer than before. So he's coming down. So he hits here 5, 7 down. Show NURBS curves. I rotate him down significantly. At 7. Middle mouse drag to 17. There we go. That feels more like he's hitting. So not quite so much. Show NURBS controls, but just enough. So we'll go back in the graph editor. Now on NURBS controls. So let's grab these guys. So we know that at frame 5, this is going down, and then frame 7, this is going. So we've got it basically here going up and then here going down. So what we want to do on the traps here is we want to offset them 1 frame from the body, and so this is the exact timing that we put on this torso control. So what we want to do is grab both of these guys, and I'm going to just shift grab these 2 keys, middle mouse drag them to the right 1 frame. I'm going to do the same thing over here, shift grab these 2 keys, middle mouse drag them to the right 1 frame. And then now the show NURBS controls, now the arms and the head and everything else will just be offset from the torso. You can kind of feel it. Feels pretty good. Looks like he's kind of stiff and he's running at you, and you're in trouble if he gets you. Okay, so I'm going to do the tail, and his feet are looking pretty good. They're peeling up off the ground. I want to do just a little bit to loosen up the torso in here, so we'll offset everything. But I'm liking the way that the chest and the arms and everything are sort of offset just a little bit. And I want to do a little bit with the arms. So I'm going to go show and then NURBS curves. So I'm going to take this forearm here, and as it's going down here at frame 5, I'm going to drag it up just a titch so it's kind of in line like that. And then as it goes back, we'll kind of leave it there. And then what I'm going to do is at frame 12, I'm actually going to pull it back just a bit. And then now let's just see what that feels like. So that feels pretty good. I feel like if we go show NURBS curves, see how he kind of throws it back? It's kind of like he's throwing his arm back. That looks pretty cool. Because he's kind of casual. It's not super tight. I like that. It loosens it up. See this other side? See the difference? So we want to kind of do the same thing here. We throws it back. It's kind of like a light jog. Like it. Okay, show NURBS curves. Let's do the same thing. So he's got his arm. He's got his arm coming up here. We didn't do too much there. But what we did was on this side. So on this way back, I kind of did that a little bit. And then coming up here, I think what I did was a little bit of this. But let's just see. See if we get it thrown back. Yeah. There we go. Just enough. So show NURBS curves. So it feels like he's throwing it back. Boom. Yeah. There we go. Just off. It's just slightly off, and that's pretty cool. I like that. I like the little beard a little bit there. The head seems pretty like he's like concentrating. I want to lean it down just a little bit, and I want to fix the tail really quick, and then we'll loosen up the torso and we'll call it good. So show NURBS curves. So I want to lean the head down in general. So that rotate X. Let's go to Window, Animation Editor, Graph Editor. Let's find rotate X. It's just straight across. I can grab all those keys, and I just want his whole head to come down just a titch. And that's actually translate. Oof, boy, I'm getting old. There it is. Rotate X. I'm going to grab the whole curve and shift it down or up. So see when I move it up, I'm holding shift and middle mouse dragging it up. See how he kind of makes him look down? Let's go show NURBS curves again. Click off. Yeah, he has a little bit more in it. He's kind of like looking at you. His head was up a little too high, I think. Okay, so let's loosen that tail up really quick. So show NURBS curves. And that was on the cog control, so pick that cog control. So we got to do a bend. It was a -6 when he's up. So when he's coming down, we've got these keys right here on it. So what I want to do is I want to have a key on 1, 10, and 21. So on these keys here, I'm going to cut, get rid of them. Here, I'm also going to do the same thing, cut and get rid of it. Ooh, I can't do that because it's actually on the cog itself. So I've got to figure out what I did here for 4 and 5. So I actually have a key on my cog at 14 and then also 4 and then 5. So what I'm going to do is cut this one on 5 from the cog. I don't know why it's there. Must not have cleaned that up very well. Okay, so for the bend then, we want to have as it comes down at 5 probably. I would say 5 or 6. Let's say 6. Let's type in 6 for our bend. Not quite that much. So it's bent up. Let's do this. So let's do 2. key it. So key that. So at 16, we'll do the same thing. So 2, and then now key it. And let's look at that. Okay, not too bad. I would say that it doesn't need to be quite that much, so we'll go to 16. We'll do 1 instead of 2. I'm going to hit S. I'm going to go to 6. 1 instead of 2. I'm going to click in there and hit S. Just slightly a little bit less. So let's go to 4. I'm going to take frame 4 and I'm going to middle mouse drag it to 3. Go to 4, right click cut. Do the same thing here at 14. Go to 14, middle mouse. You know what? We can't really do that because we've got all these other controls on there. So we're just going to have to turn it down. So literally, it's literally going to have to come down. So I'm going to do negative. Let's do -3 on the tail instead of 6 because there's so much going on with the other parts of it. So. And then here at frame 4, I'm going to do -3 as well, and then key that. So he pushes up, the tail goes down, he comes down, and the tail goes up. So at 14, -3, key that, 10, -3. That was a little confusing, I'm sorry. Leave it up there, and then here at 21, I'm going to go to 1, and then I'm going to middle mouse drag to 21. So I accidentally double clicked in the time slider there. So all I did was go to 1, middle mouse drag to 21, and hit S. Okay, that looks pretty good. It's still a little bit much. It's like kind of distracting. Let's turn off our NURBS curves. It's a little distracting. It feels right though. I mean, it feels like if he hits, that's what it's going to look like. Let's see if we can see that tail control. So this one's going to be a little bit tough. Bend. There we go. Okay, so on this, I'm going to straighten this function curve out here. So I'm going to hit F. And it's going to maximize around that function curve. So we want to make sure this looks the same. So I'm going to drag this down. I'm going to grab these two and pull them down. So all I'm doing is holding shift. I've got the move tool engaged, or the rotate tool engaged actually. And it's just kind of is emulating on both sides. So now it should be a little bit less. There we go. It's kind of stiff, but it looks pretty cool. I like it. Now you can point it or do whatever you want to do with it. That's fine. It doesn't matter to me. Just though that it does react in the proper manner. So if it's bent up, I don't care. But as he goes, basically he's coming down and that tail's going to pop up, and then he's going to go up and that tail's going to pop down. And everything he's done has been kind of springy. So he's almost like Tigger, right? He's like boom, boom, boom because he's so heavy. And he's up and down, up and down. So we want everything else to sort of feel that way. All right, so show NURBS curves. All right, so what we want to do is just loosen up this torso a little bit. I want to put a little bit of back and forth here. So a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So at frame 1, I want to do, let's see, frame 10. You know, it's got enough, I think. I think the issue really is just the back and forth here. So I'm going to grab each one of these controls for his waist. So from his very bottom waist all the way up, I'm going to do a little bit of rotating. So we can see we've got kind of a set here at 5 that we keyed, and we never really keyed over here. And I think what that was it was just basically, I'm going to cut it. So I'm going to cut it. We were going to have it bounce back and forth, but I kind of like it is. So let's do this and loosen it up. Let's rotate it in this direction. So I'm going to rotate it just a bit. We'll counter the head, but I'm going to hit S, middle mouse drag to 21. I'm going to go to 10, and I'm going to do it again, just a little bit. And then here for the head, key it at 10, 1, key it, middle mouse drag to 21. Okay. Okay, so now we've got a little bit looser, a little bit more going on with the head, a little bit of back and forth, so the torso feels pretty good. It's kind of stiff, but not too bad. Let's take and offset those curves now. So I think everything seems pretty good. It could definitely be a little bit more. I would definitely say this is a good for a first pass. It kind of tells the lead or your art director or whoever it is you got to report to what kind of run this guy's doing. So you want to take the arms across the body more. You want him running faster. Obviously less frames. You could do something maybe in 14 frames. So you say 15 frame animation and 7's your breakdown there for both of those, but you could do a little bit maybe more kind of like where his arms and chest are kind of bouncing because they're so heavy. But I think for this, I think we're pretty good. The only thing I might say is that maybe he comes across, the only thing I would like to try and do is have his arms come across a little bit more. So when he's up here, have this arm kind of maybe do that. Key that in 1 and 21. I just want to see it here. And then at 5, I'll leave it alone. Leave it alone there. So I like that. I like that coming across the body. I'm going to grab it here, do the same thing. So as it comes up here, leave it alone. 10 across the body. And then here, might look a little strange there. That move might not have worked there, but let's just see. No, I like it. Oh, nice and smooth, yeah. Cool. Happy accident. A little too much, actually, though. See that? Not quite as smooth as the other side, but I like the fact that it's not the exact same, so I'm going to leave it. It's a little bit of life there. It feels natural. It's nice, and like he's just kind of throwing his arms back and forth. I like the fact that it's asymmetrical. Works. Okay, so this, I think, may be too much coming in, though. So I'm going to pull that out just a titch. I still have control of it because I never deselected it. That's how come it's letting me do that. Okay, I like it. Not too bad. Let's loosen it up a little bit. So let's loosen up the torso by offsetting some stuff. So show NURBS curves. The waist for sure, where we hit the ground, we never really addressed that. So when he does hit the ground here, so boom, he hits the ground, what we want to do is for sure adjust this a little bit. But the tail is going to be such a thing to deal with. So he's on the ground right here. And my suggestion is we do just a little bit of that. And I'm going to hit S. And then it's going to really kind of push off here a little bit more. Okay. Same thing here, but we're going to say 5. Push off a little bit more. Okay. See how bad that messed it up. Show NURBS curves. Now it kind of needed it, but the tail's a little wonky now. But that's the tail. That's what it would do. All right. So now we'll loosen up the torso and call it good. File save scene. Not going to worry about resaving it. Just hit continue. Show NURBS curves. Grab all these guys. So I'm going to grab each one of these. And this guy. And then I'm going to leave let me grab the top one as well. Okay, so now Windows, Animation Editor, Graph Editor. So last time we did this, it really messed up. It messed up the controls on the arms. But it didn't really mess these controls up. So I'm going to try and do this because it should work. Curves, pre-infinity cycle, curves, post-infinity cycle. I'm going to grab all my curves. I'm going to say View Infinity. All seems to be good. Now I'm going to Shift, Control, deselect this bottom one. Grab all my curves and Shift move them over. Deselect this one. all my curves, Shift, move it over, Control Z, Shift, or Control deselect that one, grab all my curves, move it over, Control deselect that one, Shift, move it over, and then that's that. So let's see how loose this looks, or how messed up this is. So show NURBS curves. Got a little work to do on the head, but other than that, okay, definitely a lot looser. So So 1 and 21 are the same. So it's just the head. But the torso is much looser. Looks really good. Very loose. I mean, it's stiff because he's a big guy, right? But it's the head that's sort of struggling. So let's go look and make sure all of our curves, so NURBS curves. Let's try this one first. So Windows, Animation Editor, Graph Editor. I grab the torso control. We just want to make sure that they're all feeding into themselves properly. And they look like they are. So that one looks okay. See this? Okay, so I'm going to grab those keys. We don't need them. I'm going to grab this, pull it down. That is really far off. So somewhere along the road. I'm going to grab this and pull it all the way back here. Shift grab this. I just want an even set of curves here. I want it to be nice and even. Set play. Okay. So that's not quite even. Now it is. Rotate Y. Y, it's sort of the same thing here. Grab both of these keys. I'm going to get rid of these keys. So when we offset it, grab these guys, shift them over. A little bit better. All these keys kind of nice and even. And then rotate Z. That one's nice. Rotate Y. Whew. Could be better. So all I'm doing here is just going back and just grabbing my keys and making sure things line up, pulling a little bit back. Just making sure that we got kind of a nice, even curves. Rotate X. This is actually where it's really at here. I'm going to grab these guys and feed it into itself a little bit better. And then grab this and pull this down. And that's where it was at. Right in there. Grab all these keys and just pull them up just a bit so it's a little bit less. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now, that was actually really pretty hard, show NURBS curves. I'm going to leave all that in because I want you to see that kind of stuff. But now it looks pretty good. It feels pretty bouncy and springy. I took quite a bit of it out. But his ears, I think, are messing with me a little bit. I mean, they're moving in the right direction. So what happens is he's coming down, they're kind of trailing behind him, and then he goes up, and they kind of basically go down, just like they should. But I just feel like, because they can rotate in different directions, it might be better to do a different kind of a thing there, but with them, maybe rotate them back or something. I don't know, but at any rate, yeah. That is the run. So I'm going to leave all that in. That one was really hard. So I went through, and what I was looking at there was I wanted to just explain it really fast. Windows Animation Editor, Graph Editor. I wanted to make sure that when you look at these things, they should be a nice sort of an even kind of a, up and down. And so when we looked at it before, it was sort of off, and they weren't even on both sides of the animation. This is one side from 1 to 10 and 10 to 20. That's another side, and they should look the same on both. I mean, unless you want it asymmetrical. This is an example. Do you see how this is higher right here than this? So what I want to do is I want to even that out. So if I kind of pull that up just to the same height as that, and this is touching, that over there, if I do that just by moving those keys, I even things out, and it looks really perfect. Okay, so I don't have time to pour over each control, but I would actually go through, and before I would check it in, I would actually go through each control. I'm going to actually leave all this stuff in the lecture so you get to see it and you get to watch even me goof up, right? So it isn't really so much a goof up, it's just that when we grab all those controls and we rotate them all at once, I'm trying to show you that you can really quickly do something like that. You can also just take and pose the character. You could take it and rotate the character down, rotate the character up, but I want to show you different approaches. So what we'll do in the next lecture is we'll do a jump cycle, or rather maybe we'll do a jump cycle, but we'll use the bat sniper, and we'll just use pose to pose, and we won't worry about like trying to offset anything unless we actually physically have like a keyframe. But I think this run looks pretty good, and I definitely have a good first pass here. So this would be my first pass. I would actually leave the head like it is because I would want to see what my lead says. Do you want him really laser focused? When we're really concentrating, our head locks onto like things, and this thing is going back and forth, but it doesn't really bug me that much. It's kind of like he's kind of scoping things out. So if you want yours to lock on, you're going to have to counter animate it, so you'd have to make sure it kind of stays in place. And then I can also show you a cheat for that, how we can kind of get around it. But at any rate, that is the run. And yeah, I'll do a demo for this one in the class, because that was pretty rough at the end with the graph editor. But I like it. Nice and bouncy. Cool. All right, I'll see you in the next one.